As Emma was working in her garden, she suddenly heard a rustling noise coming from the hedges. She was shocked to see it was a lynx, and at first, she was really afraid. However, soon it became clear that the animal was not there to attack her, but it actually needed her help. And when Emma realized what was going on, she immediately called the vet. That is unbelievable. Stay right there, I'm on my way. She never expected something like this to happen. Emma stands eye in eye with the lynx, and she holds her breath, scared to even move. And she thinks of the best way to escape, but then something unexpected happens. The lynx starts meowing. It seems like it is asking Emma for help. She decides to take the risk and starts walking toward it. It's not much later. It becomes clear that the lynx was indeed asking for help, and it isn't alone. Its kittens are here too. Why did the lynx ask for help? What did Emma see? And why was the doctor so shocked? But before we start, smash the like button and make sure to subscribe if you haven't, and hit that notification bell so that you won't miss any new stories. The sun was shining while Emma worked on the front porch of her new house. She and her husband, Brad, had just moved here, and they absolutely loved it. They now lived near a huge forest and were excited to explore the hiking trails around the lakes and over the hills. The front door opened, and Brad walked out of the house. "Hey Em, I'm off to the hardware store downtown. I need some new plugs and something's wrong with my drill. I might take a while." He kissed her goodbye, got in the car and drove. So after a while, she decided to take a break. She made herself a nice cup of tea and sat on the rocking chair on the porch, taking in the beautiful view she had from her new home. She still couldn't believe that they were actually living here now. She closed her eyes and listened to the sounds of nature until she heard something. It was different from all the other sounds. It sounded like something was rustling in the hedge. Many inches, but not all of them. She was really curious and eager to know what was creeping around her garden, making that noise. She stood up to get a better look, and then she saw the hedge slowly open up. An animal walked through it right into her garden, and then it stood still and looked Emma directly in the eyes. She wanted to scream, but she was afraid to make any noise. For a split second, she thought it was just a giant cat, and in a way, it was. It was a lynx. She held her breath as she looked at the animal. What was she going to do now? The animal stood as still as a statue, and it didn't even blink. She took a few deep breaths and thought fast about what she should do. She knew that lynx did not often attack humans, but they certainly could if they wanted to, and if that happened, it could be very dangerous. It would be better to get up and run inside now, while the lynx was still further away from her, instead of letting it get close. So Emma gathered all her courage, put her cup of tea down, pushed herself up out of the chair, and made a run for the door. However, just when she grabbed the doorknob ready to push it open, she heard something that made her stop and slowly turn around. The lynx was quietly meowing, and it did not look like it was going to attack her. On the contrary, it almost seemed as if it was asking her for help, begging her not to leave. Emma was confused. What did this animal want from her? She was still careful and kept her distance, but she was a little less afraid now. "Hi there, it's okay. I won't hurt you," she softly spoke to the lynx. "What do you want?" Of course, Emma didn't expect the lynx to understand what she was saying, but she thought that speaking to it in a calm and soft voice would help it understand that she wasn't going to hurt it. The lynx turned around and took a few steps toward the hedge, but it kept looking back at Emma, making sure she was still there. She stood still and waited for something to happen. She expected something would attack her any second now, but she waited and waited, and nothing happened. She couldn't believe that this was why the lynx had called her over. It had indeed needed her help. She needed to take action, and she had no minute to waste. She ran back into the house and grabbed her phone, quickly dialing the local vet's number. Luckily, the phone only rang twice before someone picked up. When she explained to Dr. Smith what she had encountered, he gasped. What? Are you sure? I'll be there as soon as I can, just stay put. Don't go anywhere and make sure they don't leave." Dr. Smith's truck pulled up in a cloud of dust, and he stepped out, a mix of urgency and disbelief on his face. As he approached the garden, his eyes widened to sight of the lynx and her kittens nestled in the shade. "Emma, this is incredible," he exclaimed, awestruck by the trust the wild animal had placed in her. "How did you manage this?" Emma shrugged, her own amazement mirrored in her eyes. "I'm not sure. She just came to me." Together, they set about creating a safe haven in Emma's garage. Old blankets were spread out, and a corner was designated for food and water. Dr. Smith methodically examined each kitten, his hands steady yet gentle. "And they seem healthy," he murmured. "Remarkably so." Given the circumstances, Dr. Smith turned to the lynx, a respectful distance maintained. "She's fine, a bit stressed but healthy." Remarkable neighbors peeked over fences, curiosity piqued by the sight of Dr. Smith's parked truck and the murmurs of a wild lynx in Emma's garden. Children whispered in awe, and adults speculated in hushed tones. "Have you seen the lynx?" became the question of the hour. Emma knew her life was about to change, with her garden now a point of local interest. By mid-morning, neighbors started arriving with offers of help. Some brought food, others blankets, and a few just wanted to help however they could. Emma was touched by the outpouring of support. We're all in this together, one neighbor said, handing over a bag of groceries. With the community support, Emma delved deeper into understanding lynxes. She pored over books and online resources, learning about their habits, diet, and needs. Each new piece of information helped her provide better care for her temporary family. As days passed, Emma became fascinated by the mother lynx's behavior. She noticed how the lynx communicated with her kittens, a series of soft growls and nudges. Emma seized this opportunity to educate her neighbors about wildlife conservation. She organized small talks in her garden, sharing facts about lynxes and their habitat. Local schools expressed interest, and Emma prepared educational materials for students. This experience had transformed her into a wildlife advocate, a role she embraced wholeheartedly. As the kittens grew stronger, discussions began about releasing the family back into the wild. When Emma, Dr. Smith, and a wildlife expert met to plan the release, but she understood the importance of returning them to their natural habitat. Dawn broke on the day of the release, and Emma felt a knot in her stomach. The community had gathered to witness this momentous event. All as the cage was opened in the forest, neighbors and friends stood in silent support. Emma stepped forward, her eyes locked on the lynx family. With a graceful leap, the mother lynx disappeared into the forest, her kittens bounding after her. Emma watched them go, tears streaming down her face. In the days that followed, Emma found herself reflecting on the experience. The experience had changed her, opened her eyes to the beauty and complexity of nature. Inspired by her time with the Lynx family, Emma became a vocal advocate for wildlife preservation. She organized community meetings, wrote articles, and even started a local wildlife awareness program. As Emma continued her advocacy, she realized the lasting impact her actions had on the Lynx family and her community. The story of the Lynx family had raised awareness, and brought people together. Emma felt a sense of pride and hope, knowing that her encounter had sparked a positive change. If you liked this touching and surprising story, we invite you to leave us a comment expressing your opinion. If you want to continue enjoying inspiring stories like this one, subscribe to our channel or check out the other videos shown at the bottom of the screen. Thank you for your cooperation.